Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
They're 3-5. They could be a lot better. They played Oklahoma right down the wire till they had a turnover late in that game. And then last week against Alabama, I think they actually outscored Alabama probably the last three quarters.
You know, the strength of our team is defense right now, and they're playing really, really well. It's hard to get a first down. Welcome to the 1980s. It's just like going back in time, you know, and we're doing what we have to do to win the game.
And good evening. Welcome into a Talking Tuesday here on Sports Talk from downtown Columbia. Steve Spurrier and Dabo Sweeney. Spurrier talking today, Sweeney not, because the Tigers are off this week, so he gets a break from his weekly news conference. Though the Tigers are practicing and going to practice a few more days this week. Then they have fall break at Clemson. Then the Tigers get ready for Wake Forest. Meantime, South Carolina full speed ahead, getting ready for Tennessee. We'll hear from Spurrier. We'll hear from Tennessee's Bush Jones tonight. 800-956-7266 as we hear from you as well. Let's pick back up on the conversation from last night about the Gamecocks and the Tigers. Also, tonight, the night that the Football Playoff Selection Committee releases their first ranking of the season. And I like the fact that they're waiting until deep into the season to put out their poll. Professor Tom Hayes is here. K-Mac is the empty chair tonight. He'll be back tomorrow night. So we're going to get the first ranking from the committee, the 12 people on the committee, since Archie Manning is not involved. And, you know, the one good thing compared to how it used to be done is I think teams now are being judged on two-thirds of a body of work of a season instead of the polls used to come out, the meaningful polls used to come out in the preseason, then the first of the season, and then you had to either move up or move down.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is the statement of, our decisions won't be affected by the polls. You know what that reminds me of? When the smart defense attorney asks a question in court, knowing that the answer or the question will be stricken for the record, but the jury's already heard it. Mm-hmm. So that don't tell me you're not taking a peek at those polls and whether it's going to affect you or not. I guess the interesting thing I'd like to see, Phil, is one, is Notre Dame in their top four? Because most of us think Notre Dame gets a pass on everything. And also if three SEC West teams are in there. Those are the two things I'm looking for.
Well, Jerry Palm, the renowned pollster and computer geek that is used by CBSSports.com, he has his projection, and he's got three SEC teams in the top four. And, of course, Mississippi State is in there. He has got let me pull it up here just to be exact. He's got Mississippi State. He's got Auburn. And he's got Ole Miss, and he's got Florida State in there as the fourth team. Number 5, and here's where your problem is going to come up, is Alabama right now. So, and Notre Dame is number 6. So, those teams with one loss that don't get in, there's going to be a lot of yakking about that. We'll hit a break. We'll be right back. It's a Talking Tuesday here on Sports Talk from Main Street, Columbia, your sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. Your final word in sports every night in the Palmetto States. Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut and Professor Tom Hayes. Estate man Graham Pope once again behind the bulletproof glass where he belongs, taking your calls, spinning the dials, making sure everything runs smoothly here on a Tuesday night. 800-956-7266. So what do you think the committee's going to announce as far as the top 4 teams? Who should they be? Of course, there's still more football to be played. The final poll will not be announced until December the 7th. So we got a little ways to go. But 4 teams will know that if they just win out, they should be there at the end of the season to play in the first college football playoff. Who should they be? 800-956-7266. Meantime, over at USC, Spurrier met with media today to talk about the Tennessee game and rehash Auburn a little bit. You'll hear from him coming up at the bottom of the hour. One thing he wanted to make clear to people, basically it was get off the back of the defense for a little bit on this Auburn game, because he said the offense failed to score on 3 trips into the red zone. That's one of the worst red zone performances he said he's had as a coach. And thus he called it a we loss. He made it clear that it was a loss by the offense and by the special teams and not just by the defense. Everybody wants to blame the defense. And even though he himself has blamed the defense some this year, he wanted to make it clear that it was a team loss. He also said that Sky Moore today is doubtful for Tennessee. He expects Clayton Stadnick to play more at center, and he expects Mike Matulis to play at guard. Matulis did not play last week against Auburn. And he also expects DJ Smith to get into the ball game. Again, DJ was not used against Auburn, and he said he has asked defensive coaches why they haven't played more players in the secondary. He expects DJ Smith to play more. So that's pretty much the gist of things from Spurrier today. He was complimentary of Tennessee, saying that their record doesn't indicate the close losses they've had. He realizes that their quarterback situation is in flux, up in the air. But he expects Tennessee to come in. He was really impressed with A.J. Johnson, their outstanding linebacker. He likes the way Tennessee is playing with effort and flying to the football on defense, and that's what he wants to see his guys do as well. A couple of other quick notes. There'll be a hearing on Thursday at the high school league offices, the executive committee coming together to hear the appeals from Camden and Dreer over their probation, blocking them from the playoffs this year. And if those appeals are turned down, then they can go to the new appeals board that was formed after the Goose Creek debacle of a couple of years ago. We might see that swing into action in a football situation, which I think would be for the first time. Remember the great Kenny Hill and the Kenny Hill for a Heisman campaign? Yes, sir. Kenny Trill, that got started in Columbia after that great performance. Well, today, Texas A&M is not sure who they will start at quarterback against Louisiana Monroe. Hill may have lost his job to true freshman Kyle Allen. Competition is back open between the two. Hill has not played quite as well since that game against South Carolina. And so they are considering making a change. And well, that tells you right there you can't get too high after one performance.
Well, he just came on the scene. South Carolina did not know what they were getting into. But as I said after the game, I said, well, the guy had a tremendous game. He shows a lot of poise. But let's wait the other teams get film on him and see if they start seeing tendencies and taking away some of his favorite things. And apparently they have. And that's why it's so tough to play quarterback in a high level of football like the SEC, because once they get your quote unquote resume, they start breaking it down and they see what you like to do, and you have to adjust. And if you can't adjust on the fly, then you got a strong learning curve, which he has had to grow into, I think.
You're exactly right. All right, 800-956-7266. Big day in Charlotte tomorrow. We've got ACC Basketball Media Day. We'll be there for that. And then you've also We've got the opening of the NBA season for the Hornets tomorrow night. They're at home against Milwaukee, and that's going to be in the Time Warner Arena, which is right next door to where the ACC basketball thing is taking place.
Scheduled it so
I guess
they would have his star center making his debut so he can watch it in person.
I guess. Then, of course, on Thursday, you've got the Panthers playing the Saints. By the way, D'Angelo Williams will be in the starting lineup. Ron Rivera said today for the Panthers, so he's back and ready to go. And we go to your phone calls, 800-956-7266. Marshall in Charleston, you're up first tonight here on Sports Talk. Good to have you with us. How are you?
Hey, guys, I'm good. Thanks for taking my call tonight. Wanted to address the selection committee thing tonight. I think you'll see Florida State, no surprise, Mississippi State, no surprise, and then I think Alabama will be in there. But I don't think they're going to take Auburn. I think they'll jump outside of the box and go out west and take Oregon as the fourth team, just to kind of spread it across and give it a little more spectrum. But earlier in the year, I was hoping that my Gamecocks would be in there in the discussion, but hey, it's the way it goes. But I think Carolina can rally and maybe make up this last four games and come home 8-4. It'd be great to beat Clemson this year now that they think they're high and mighty and on top. But that's all I got to say. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Love listening to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you can't forget about Oregon. But again, the committee's not supposed to be selecting teams based on any regional balance.
No.
It's about the four best teams in the country. And if they think the four best teams in the country all hail from the Southeast, then that's the way it should be. If all four teams are on the West Coast, then that's the way it should be. There's not supposed to be any sort of regional balance or bias. It's supposed to be about simply deciding on the four best teams in the country. As far as South Carolina goes, yeah, obviously 8-4 is the best the Gamecocks can accomplish this season. And I would think that if they were to finish with a 4-game winning streak and a win over Clemson, get themselves into a decent bowl game, Charlotte on up, maybe nothing below Charlotte on up, and win that, then I think they would feel like this season was a success. Not a great success, not going to meet the standards that they had set for themselves, but maybe those standards were set a little bit too high and weren't realistic when they were set.
Well, the difficult thing that you look back on, and as they say, hindsight is 20/20. When you have veteran players on your team and you're married to a system, when younger players make a mistake, they can point to said linebacker or lineman and said, look, you need to close this gap when we move. But remember now, when they started shifting to more 3-4, now your veteran players are also learning a new system and they don't know where to go. So notice that early in the season when they played 4-3, they seemed to knew what they were doing because it was a system they were used to. Now you're flipping back 3-4, and I think in hindsight, maybe Whammy said, maybe we tried to shove too much on them too early.
I don't know. I can't sit here and swear that I can read defenses and tell you all the time what they're in, but I haven't seen a lot of pure 3-4 out there of late. I've seen more of the 4-2-5.
I've seen Keystone Cops a lot of times, but let's face it, Auburn knows that their defense is struggling. So their offense is going to make a lot of defenses look bad, even good defenses. So South Carolina ran into a buzzsaw Saturday, and any defensive coordinator is going to scratch their head when they see some of the things that Auburn does, because they give you so much window dressing that you don't know what keys to read, and they'll catch you when you do that.
All right, 800-956-7266 is our phone number. More calls coming up here in just a moment on Sports Talk. You know what? I'm glad I looked at this. The ACC thing tomorrow is not at the Ritz. It's at the Westin.
Okay.
Which I have no idea where the Westin is. You have any idea where it is?
No, you'll find it, though. Knowing Mike Krzyzewski is close to the arena so he can go and watch the Bucks after.
Look for the greatest collection of Tar Heel fans in downtown Charlotte that I can find tomorrow. That will be a hint, kind of like following the birds flying over land until they find land. All right, we'll be right back. Take more of your calls in a moment. All right, we're back. 800-956-7266 is our phone number on this Talking Tuesday. Stay tuned for Spurrier coming up at the bottom of the hour. Back to your calls we go, and we go to Bulldog Bert in Saluda. Hello, BB. How are you? Are you starting to order your championship ring for 2014? Are you starting to get sized up for that? Is that what you're thinking?
Well, it looks like it's just going to fall right in our laps. Because I heard somebody put this scenario out there today, and I want to see what you thought about it. Georgia loses to Auburn and Georgia Tech, goes on to Atlanta, wins out SEC conference, and winds up in the Final Four with a 3-loss schedule. What do you think about that?
No. I think losing to Auburn and Georgia Tech would eliminate you from the 4. You might win the SEC championship, but I think they would take, we'll see what happens in the West, but no, I don't think so.
They take
not with those late losses.
They take a 1-loss Michigan State team.
Yeah.
So you're saying that really the SEC is not really that competitive if they would overlook the SEC champion.
Well, again, championships don't mean anything to the committee, supposedly. They're supposed to pick the top 4 teams. There's no automatic bids. And, a champion with 3 losses might get left out because of who they lost to, when they lost, how they lost. They're supposed to weigh all. Listen, it's going to be very subjective. This isn't going to be like with the computers when they just put data in there and it spat out the rankings.
I can't see right now if Georgia losing to Auburn because, first of all, they have a decent enough passing game.
How are they going to stop Auburn?
And Auburn
How are they going to stop Auburn's offense?
I tell you why. They're not going to have the ball because Georgia's going to run the football. They're going to get a lead and run the football and keep it away from Auburn.
Y'all going to get Gurley back for this week?
They don't need him.
That's what Mark Richt supposedly told somebody in Athens yesterday on the street that Gurley would be back Saturday.
Oh, so Mark Richt tells people.
How does he know that? I don't know.
So Mark Richt just walks up to people on the street in Athens and just shares with them the most important piece of information in college football. Oh, here, buddy, I got something to tell you. Come over here.
Bulldog Bert has a scoop on everything. When you gonna learn that, Phil?
Let me ask you this: is Georgia going to save Will Muschamp's job this weekend?
Listen, he was a former dog, and once you're a former dog and gone, we love you from a distance, but sorry, ain't no sympathy gonna be shown on that freshman quarterback.
Wow, maybe they'll hire him.
As what? They got to love their defensive coordinator they got now.
Well, yeah, they'll find a position. They'll create a position. The SEC money rolling in dough, they'll create a position.
All right, BB's probably already rolling towards Jacksonville. He wants to get the world's largest outdoor cocktail party underway a few days early. Anymore. I call it that. Traditionally, that is what it's known as, and I don't have to fall into political correctness. We'll be back with Steve Spurrier.
We need to play better than we've been playing and try our best to get a victory. We need to play better than we've been playing, and
All right, we're back. It's a Talking Tuesday here on Sports Talk. Time to hear from USC football coach Steve Spurrier. Talking Tuesday presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. Here is Steve Spurrier from his weekly press conference over at Williams-Brice.
we need to play better than we've been playing, and try our best to get a victory against Tennessee. They're a team that has lost some close ones, 10-9 against Florida, I think 35-32 against Georgia, something like that. And they're 3-5. They could be a lot better. They played Oklahoma right down the wire till they had a turnover late in that game. And then last week against Alabama, I think they actually outscored Alabama probably the last 3 quarters, but they were behind 27-0 early. So they're a team that plays a lot of freshmen, sophomores, but they're playing extremely hard. They got a linebacker, number 45, I think leads the nation in tackles or leads the SEC. He is all over the place making tackles. It was amazing. We watched one play blitz on the left side. The running back broke a run. He ran him down about 40 yards downfield. So they got some guys flying around, hustling, playing the game the way you're supposed to play it. And if we're going to have a chance this week, we got to match their intensity and effort level. We got to fly around and really chase hard, offense, defense, special teams. And we'll try our best to do that. We'll try to get our guys in position. They can make some plays and go from there. Before we get into questions, I just want to say we lost the game last week. The offense lost, the defense lost, the special teams lost. We all lost. Coaches lost. We weren't good enough. It wasn't one side of the ball or the other. It was the worst red zone offense we've had around here in a long time. I can't remember 3 times inside 20 without getting any points. And as it turned out, that was a big thing that really hurt us. But it's happened, and you try to learn from it. Try not to repeat the same mistakes that occurred in the last game. So hopefully we can move on. Hopefully we can get our players playing at a very high level of intensity and enthusiasm, and try to have a go at Tennessee here Saturday night. Okay.
Steve, how confident is the offensive unit after last week, just where you guys were, rolling up yards and points?
I don't know about confidence. I know we got clobbered up at Tennessee last year after we clobbered Arkansas. So our offense didn't have that good a game. You guys thought we had a good game just because we got 5 touchdowns. We had a chance to score 8 touchdowns. That's what. And then if we'd converted those opportunities, then it would really been good. But we didn't. So we're moving on, and we're trying to get better, trying to run the ball better, trying to pass block better, try to do a lot of throw and catch better, and see if we can do it.
Steve, there's some things you can do to help execution offensively in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we can do. Block better, run better, throw better, catch, all those kind of things. Stop the other team better. It's a combination of a little bit of everything, but we haven't finished. You're exactly right. We have not finished the game. I don't know if you keep talking about it's going to help it, but we try to encourage our guys to finish the game, but we haven't done it very well.
Coach Butch Jones says that he hasn't named a quarterback yet. How do you prepare for something like that?
I didn't even know he said that. No, they brought a kid in last week, I think, Joshua Dobbs, that I think got a couple touchdowns against Alabama. I believe our defensive coaches and staff we're preparing for that kid more than maybe the other kid that's been playing. Is Worley still hurt? I don't even know. He may be back. Okay, I hadn't even read all that. We got our own issues just lining up and tackling and trying to score touchdowns in the red zone and things like that. So we'll try to do our best against whoever plays quarterback.
Mm-hmm. I think you used the term struggling to describe your defense. Do you remember any of your defenses, either at Duke or Florida, where you basically had to outscore the other teams?
Well, sometimes it just gets to where you're really struggling, and you have to try to do that, which we tried to do last week, but we didn't do it very well, and that's the way it worked out. But yeah, we're struggling, and but then again, we've been even or ahead in the fourth quarter of these 3 losses. So if the offense had continued playing at a high level, we'd have 1 or 2 more wins, probably, maybe 3 more. Who knows? So it's been a team breakdown late in the games, even though we broke down a lot earlier in the games and other areas also. No, not quite. Not quite where we are right now. Not quite like this, right? But that, we knew Auburn had a strong running game, and they ran for 300-something yards against Missouri in the championship game last year. I don't know what they ran for against LSU, but they're maybe they're just. Of course, Furman ran for 200 on us too, so maybe that's just where we are right now.
Coach, you feel like things like going for it more on 4th down last Saturday night, the onside kick, the trick play here, there adds a little confidence to all of your team right at this point in time?
No, that was just what we thought we had to try to do to win the game last week. And, if we played well in the red zone, a couple of plays, a little different here, there, the other, it could have made a difference. But it didn't work out. So it wasn't good enough. But that was the plan last week. That's not the plan this week. Tennessee is not ranked that high offensively in the conference, but I don't know what they're going to do against us. They may go up and down the field, or maybe we can stop them a whole bunch like we did against Missouri. We stopped Missouri a whole lot till the end of the game. So we don't know what's going to happen.
Steve, speaking of Justin Worley, may or may not play, but he's an in-state kid. Did you guys look at him when he was coming out of high school? Justin Worley? Did you guys look at him when he was coming out of high school at all?
Oh, we looked at him a little bit. I think we had another player that we were going after at the time, and we just usually go after one quarterback if we think we can get him.
Steve, this late season run against the Tennessees, Floridas, and Clemson's used to be rough for South Carolina. You guys have turned that around. How much pride do you take in that, and how much has it led to you being able to
we got 3 of the 4 big games left. They're all big games, but if you think about our rivals in the conference, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, to me are the 3 biggest. Maybe Kentucky's going to be one pretty soon because they beat us this year. And then, of course, in-state, the Clemson game. We'll see what we can do. We, I guess, had good fortune last year, although we lost at Tennessee and Georgia. But we're 1 up with 3 to play on those 4 teams. And, I think we got a chance to beat them. And, of course, we got a chance to lose also. Got to go play a little bit better, a lot better than what we've been doing. Will give us a chance. Yeah.
Steve, what's it like to have somebody as versatile and as talented as Pharaoh Cooper on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, Pharaoh is a talent. We all know that. And a wonderful young man. You don't have to worry about him getting full of himself or anything like that. And he's tough. He fights for every yard. You know, he's not one of those guys that runs out of bounds about 3 yards, 5 yards ahead of the defenders like some of our guys do. I just want you to know we don't coach that, but we're having trouble getting them to lower their shoulder and get all they can on the sideline. Maybe we'll get somebody to do that. We had a few guys do it. I shouldn't say as a team, but we have too many guys that just step out of bounds, you know, way away from the defender. But anyway, that's just another story.
Who's he talking about there? Who's he thinking about when he talks about guys running out of bounds?
Rolling, I don't know.
I don't know. Not Mike Davis.
No.
He runs hard over people. got time for more of your calls here on Sports Talk. 800-956-7266 is our number. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com. Our website is sportstalksc.com. Feel free to leave a comment there about any of the stories that we post at sportstalksc.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. If you haven't signed up to be a part of our Twitter following, do that. We are at SportsTalkSC. And on Facebook, you can follow us there and like us there if you'd like to. And that is Sports Talk Radio Network. We've got time for more of your calls, so go ahead and dial us up. We'll get to your calls in just a moment. Let's give you the high school football report for tonight. Our high school football report brought to you nightly here on Sports Talk by your South Carolina Farm Bureau insurance agents. And we're going to update the high school polls for this week, courtesy of the high school sports report, as we are running out of the regular season here in South Carolina. One more Friday night to go in the regular season for 3A, 2A, 1A. Of course, the 4As, they have 2 more Friday nights before they get to their playoffs. So in 4A, high school sports report has Burns at number 1, followed by Goose Creek, Dutch Fork, Westwood, and Fort Dorchester. Then it's Northwestern, Dorman, South Florence, Hillcrest, and York. In 3A, it's Myrtle Beach, number 1, followed by Hartsville, Wren, Greer, Daniel, and Broome are tied for 5th. Then it is South Point, Swansea, AC Flora. We might have a typo here. They have Broome 9th and Hanahan 10th, so perhaps Broome shouldn't be up there with Daniel in a tie for 5th. Again, Myrtle Beach, Hartsville, Wren, Greer, Daniel, South Point, Swansea, AC Flora, Broome, and Hanahan. In 2A, it's Dillon, number 1, followed by Timberland, Woodruff, Fairfield Central, Chesney, then Batesburg, Leesville, Chesterfield, Newberry, Cheraw, and Loris. And then in 1A, it's Christchurch, number 1, followed by Allendale, Fairfax, Hemingway, Bamberg, Earhart, and McBee. Then Lamar, Williston, Elko, HKT, Estill, and Lakeview. Who will stop Christchurch? Will anybody be able to stop Christchurch? They're heading towards they're about to hit 50 in a row in victories. I think they're at want to say they're at 48, maybe 49, but they're going to hit 50 when they get into the playoffs, if not before. Maybe Allendale Fairfax, they're undefeated. They've got a really good team. Maybe they'll be the team. Maybe Bamberg Earhart. I don't know. Somewhere, McBee's had a great year this year, and they have a really high-powered offense. We'll see if anybody can derail Christchurch. The playoffs should be very exciting once again in high school football in South Carolina. There you go with our high school football report for tonight, brought to you by South Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance all across the state of South Carolina. 800-956-7266. World Series continues tonight. It's Game 6 now back in Kansas City. Kansas City will have it tonight, and if Game 7 is necessary tomorrow night, it'll be at Kauffman Stadium. Giants are up 3-2, and they're going to send a veteran to the mound tonight.
Jake Peavy has a chance to get 2 consecutive World Series rings. Last year, he was a member of the Red Sox. This year with the Giants. He probably wants to get back at Kansas City. Of course, he was the loser of Game 2 in Kansas City. So it'd be interesting to see how they play it. Obviously, the Kansas City team has seen him a lot because he played in the American League.
Mm-hmm.
And but they know it's do or die. And of course, San Francisco can relax and know that Madison Bumgarner is there for Game 7 if they want him. But they say if they got a good working margin, they'll throw him out there in that bullpen tonight to shut things down so they can go back to San Francisco. So
all right,
we'll to see what happens.
See what has. Have you checked the TV ratings? Has anybody been watching the World Series?
I really have not. I think the second game had a big rating because it was, Kansas City. Everybody wanted to see what Kansas City was all about. But because of the world of sports now and all the channels, World Series gets caught in the minutia. But I think what helps it out is the fact that, believe it or not, there's still a lot of people in America that do not have dish, do not have cable, and they watch over the air. So they're stuck with watching Fox. as far as any sports are concerned with the baseball. So, but baseball is not what it used to be.
Well, it says here the audience for the first 5 games of the series, despite having 4 of the 5 decided by 5 runs or more for the first time in televised World Series history, project to deliver Fox its first weekly primetime ratings win in adults 18 to 49 this season, and the network's first weekly win since February. So apparently it's doing well enough. Game 5 posted a 7.3 household ratings, 12.6 million viewers. Be right back. Time for tonight's recruiting report, brought to you by South Carolina's Electric Cooperative, sponsors of the 2014 Touchstone Energy Bowl, coming up on December 13th in Myrtle Beach. Hope to see you there. Make plans to be there that weekend for all the outstanding high school activities taking place around the Touchstone Energy Bowl. Let's give you some recruiting information. First of all, in football, junior receiver Samuel Denmark from Hanahan recently picked up an offer from Wake Forest after visiting there. He's going to go to Virginia Tech this weekend. The Hokies were the first to offer. He was excited to get that Wake Forest offer as well. Likes Wake Forest, the school, the academics. Clemson, USC are also showing interest. He spoke recently with USC recruiter Steve Spurrier Jr., and they want to check him out and see how he comes along academically. He wanted to get to USC for a visit. Does not look like he'll make it this season. Clemson, he visited Death Valley twice this season, likes the program. Duke and Notre Dame also showing interest as well. Through 9 games, he's got 21 catches, 6 touchdowns, 429 yards. Wide receiver Kyron Bowman, he is a junior from Havelock, North Carolina. He's the brother of former USC commitment Michael Bowman. He's committed to North Carolina but continues to show interest in South Carolina, and he thinks he's going to be in Columbia for the game Saturday. He said he hasn't been in Columbia for a while. He's taken visits there with his brother. He does like the spread that USC's offense that USC runs. He likes the campus. He hasn't taken many visits this fall. He has been to Chapel Hill. He still talks, of course, with the Tar Heels. And he said that his brother's relationship with USC has no bearing with his decision. Basketball, 6'5" Tevin Mack of Dreer. As of last night, no closer on a decision, according to his mother. Coaches are pouring in to see him. VCU coach Shaka Smart was in last night. Connecticut assistant coaches are to be in today. Head coach Kevin Ollie plans to come in tomorrow. Georgia coach Mark Fox and his entire staff are scheduled to visit on Wednesday. And Mac's mother said she's been in touch with Clemson and USC coaches, but not sure when they're coming in. They did make it to USC Sunday to watch the exhibition game against Benedict. And Miss Mack said that all the schools want her son real bad. She doesn't know when he's going to make his decision. Sometime before signing day, which is November 12th in basketball. There you go with recruiting here on Sports Talk, brought to you by South Carolina's Electric Cooperatives. I must say that great game last night in the NFL. So happy the Cowboys lost. So happy that they lost, and so happy that they lost with Jerry Jones on the sideline trying to coach. The guy reminds me of one of those evil managers in wrestling. He used to stand outside the ring.
Oh, yeah.
And used to, like, do devilish things to the opponent.
Daddy Jack Crawford.
Yeah, that's
Jimmy
what he reminds
Hart and
me
all
of,
that.
you know, just a scumbag.
If I was Romo, I'd have told him, look, boss, I'm hurting right now. Just make sure you spell my name right on the check and get back in your box.
Did they mess up, or did they mess up with that quarterback change? Top of the hour break.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornblut, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
And we're back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network on a Talking Tuesday. Great to have you with us, Phil Kornblut and the Professor Tom Hayes. K-Mac is off tonight. He'll be back with us tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, I'll be in Charlotte for the ACC Basketball Media Day. We'll be broadcasting from the Westin Hotel. We'll hear from Brad Brownell. We'll hear from some of the Tigers as well, and we'll have the preseason ranking for you for the ACC. Coming up here at the bottom of the hour, the committee charged with selecting the 4 teams that will play in the college football playoff will release their initial ranking of the season. We'll give that to you as soon as it is made public. 800-956-7266, the number. Let's get back to your phone calls here on this Tuesday night. Pretty wide open for calls here. We will hear from Tennessee coach Butch Jones in a little bit and let you hear his thoughts about his team coming off the Alabama loss. And looking ahead to South Carolina, we go to Bear in York for our next call. Hi, Bear. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Hey, man. How you guys doing tonight?
Man, we're doing great. How are you?
Doing good. I just want to comment on the Dallas Washington game as well. I love it as well. It couldn't happen to a better team. They're the Notre Dame of the NFL and just overhyped, and I just love seeing it, man. You got to give my boy Sharp Breland some love. He
was
really
great. He was great last night. Yeah. It just drives me up a wall. 2 things drive me up a wall. Number one is television always cutting to Jerry Jones's box during a game when something happens for the Cowboys. It's like he's the flipping president. All right. So you got to see what Jerry Jones, how is Jerry Jones reacting? And then number 2, of course, when he makes his way down to the sideline late in the game and he's interfering. He's interfering.
Right.
Get off the side. I wish one of the guys would just run him over. Just, just plow into him, run him over. I'm sorry. If you're a Cowboys fan, even though you had hopes of a great year this year, I don't know. You're a good team. DeMarco Murray is fantastic.
Well, they only have, 2 losses?
2 losses.
Yeah,
and you're in a pretty weak division. But, hey, Romo's back. That thing could go out anytime, any place. And, he almost blew it. They ended up, but they ended up losing. But if the dude falls on the football on that fumble, it's an easy win for the Redskins without going into overtime.
Well, the Cardinals helped out Dallas, and which is why I wouldn't have put Romo back in the game, because you got a game to play with. Because when Arizona beat Philadelphia, that gave you a cushion. They could have lost Romo for the season the way the Redskins were blitzing him.
I don't understand coaches. You had a quarterback in there who had led you to consecutive scoring drives. You got a guy coming out of the locker room who is not comfortable out there, and even though he insists that he goes back out, why don't you stay with the guy who's got the hot hand?
Because Jerry is got his own headset in his box and said, "Look, put Romo back in."
I'm not paying this guy to sit on the sideline. Well, I'm glad the Redskins won. All hail the Redskins. We'll be right back.
Obviously not the start that we wanted to.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk from downtown Columbia. Another beautiful, beautiful October afternoon into the evening here on Sports Talk. Glad you're with us. We appreciate you joining us each and every night. We thank our stations around the state as well for being with us each and every night. Don't forget, should you lose us over the airwaves on any night for any particular reason, you can stick with us via our website, sportstalksc.com. We have the audio link up there for you at the top of the page. We have the video link for you at the bottom of the page. A lot of folks like to just sit back and watch us or listen to us that way. You don't really have to watch us. There's not all that much to see. Right now, you'd see Pro staring at his computer, or you'd see me moving my hands and talking, or you might see Steak Man sticking a cracker in his mouth. I'm not exactly
if you look
sure.
over my right shoulder, you can see paint drying.
You can see that as well. But you can hear us. That's the good thing. And it's archived for 24 hours there. So if you miss a show, you can go back and catch it. And two of our great stations, of course, available on iHeartRadio, WGVL up in Greenville, WSEA-FM in Myrtle Beach. So they provide our program through their programming that way as well. And we thank them for that. All right, back to the phones we go. Then some Butch Jones from Tennessee coming up. Let's go to Teddy in Woodruff for our next call. Hi, Teddy. How are you?
Hey, man. How you doing?
Man, we're doing great. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all for taking my call tonight. I've been trying to get in a long time, but just want to say that I think that a guy called in Monday night about the Clemson Tigers. If he thinks their defense can stop our offense, all I need to do is say, bring it on. I'm a diehard Carolina fan, and I'll be watching that game and probably even be there. But tell him that if he thinks their defense is that good, they need to play some SEC teams instead of get off them little high school teams.
All right, so you don't believe Clemson's nationally rated defense, number 2 in the ACC, giving up 18 points a game, 268 yards a game. You don't think they can slow down South Carolina's offense?
No, sir, I don't. And not our running game neither with Mike Davis and Kenny Wild. No, sir, I don't. I just think if we play the game that we're supposed to play on offense, there's no way that Clemson will ever beat Carolina on the football field.
So
they hadn't done it in 5 years.
Do you want to offer up a prediction a month out? We're 29 days away. Do you want to offer up a prediction?
35-14.
35-14 South Carolina. Okay, sir. Thank you very much. We shall see. I'm going to hold Clemson to 14 points with that defense with Deshaun Watson on the other side? I don't think so. We go to Dave in Florence. Hi, Dave. Welcome into Sports Talk.
What's going on, man?
Not much. How are you?
Good. I got a couple of quick questions, statements I want to make. Number one, who cares about Dallas? It doesn't really matter about that one. Obviously, since Carolina lost, y'all don't want to talk about Carolina no more. And number three, I am a Clemson fan. Number three, who really cares what the first bowl projections, these ratings things? I mean, what difference do it matter? Look where Carolina was ranked before the season started, number 9. Do you think they're still going to be ranked number 9 in the nation? It doesn't really matter now. What matters is when it's all over with, where they rank that then. That's when it counts.
But
anyway,
it'll set some kind of standard of what they're looking for.
It does matter now because the positioning begins now.
Yes.
And the teams at the top, if they keep winning, they're going to stay at the top. If they lose, then the teams below them, if they win, are going to have to climb up and over. So it does matter. You want to be in that top 4 now if you think you're going to have a chance to make it into the playoff. You don't want to be 23rd, 25th, 17th. That's a long climb in 4 or 5 weeks to make it to the top. So, yes, it does matter at this particular time. Number 2, we have talked about the Gamecocks tonight. I think we had Steve Spurrier on for about 10 minutes from his press conference. So we've not been ignoring the Gamecocks since they lost. Number 3, who cares about the Cowboys? I care enough to stick it to them, which is what I like to do whenever they lose. And I will continue to stick it to the Cowboys.
Well, of course,
when
the
they lose.
Cowboys are the anointed America's team. So
Self-anointed.
Mhm.
America has not anointed them. It's a self-proclaimed thing by Cowboy fans. All right, thanks for the call. 800-956-7266 is our number. Butch Jones is Tennessee's coach. He's getting his guys ready for South Carolina. But first, he's got to get past the loss to Alabama. Here he is reflecting on that at his press conference.
Obviously not the start that we wanted to. Started very slow. I think our competitive character showed, though, our resiliency. Being down 27-0, a lot of teams would have folded, and our kids kept believing. I didn't think we panicked. We didn't waver, and we kept playing. And so I'm proud of them in regards to that. But we'll talk about the slow start in a minute. But, Bill Walsh once said it, and I believe in it. The most challenging aspect of probably being a head football coach is seeing progress while you're losing. And I don't take to losing, as you all know. Our fan base doesn't as well. And I don't want our players or anyone within our organization to ever accept that. But I do see progress. I do think our program is starting to work in terms of mentality, passion, toughness. I see those strides being developed each and every day. And I think there isn't anyone who internalizes more than myself. And it bothers me, obviously, when we don't perform up to the standard that we've created here in certain areas. But we are work in progress. We are who we are. And I've said that from day one. This comes as no surprise. And all we can do is work to keep getting better and better and live in the moment and continue to work to be a better football team and recruit and develop. But defensively, I thought we did some things that were very uncharacteristic of us, particularly starting the game. We made some mental errors in terms of setting the front, which are standard elementary things by our linebackers. Our overall eye discipline, for some reason, we lost our eye discipline, gave up some big plays. I thought we were very anxious to start the game. And, when you play with anxiety or you play with, I don't want to say lack of confidence, but when you're thinking, that puts your emergency brake on. And we played fast a little bit, and we had some players standing around watching plays as they started to happen. And we haven't done that all year. So that was something that we need to talk about and get corrected, and just playing with confidence and just go play like we've played. Third down, we hang our hat defensively on getting out the field on third down. I don't think it's no secret. The storyline was controlling third down, and they did a very good job of it. And then I continue to say it, we have to continue to overachieve, and especially on defense, we didn't overachieve Saturday night. And so, again, those things really hurt us, particularly early. But when we settled down, we held them to 216 yards in the second half, 14 points and 2 turnovers. So, again, when we settled down, I thought we performed better up to our standard. Offensively, we started slow in terms of third down, 0 for 4, and then 11 out of 15, which is tremendous progress, especially one of the upper-tier defenses in the country. I thought we left some plays out there in the passing game. Everyone wants to look at statistics and running the football, but was not pleased in the way we threw the football. We had some easy completions that we didn't complete, and it's making the routine plays that are very, very critical. So we have to continue to improve in our throw game as moving forward. I know the topic is or, so I will hit it off so we don't spend the 30 minutes talking about our quarterbacks.
All right, there you go with some comments from Butch Jones. Of course, the quarterback situation remains up in the air in Knoxville, though Justin Worley was in practice today, was back there working out some, but the starter status remains unknown at this point. Be right back. All right, coming up, we'll get into a little NASCAR talk with Chip Weil from Darlington after a great weekend at Martinsville with Dale Jr. getting his first win at Martinsville. He takes home the grandfather clock that goes to the winner. Jeff Gordon finished second, so he takes the lead in the points. So no one in the chase got the automatic advancement into the championship round by virtue of winning there. They'll have to try and pick up a win in one of the next two races, or the points, the top four guys in points will move on.
Now, I was listening to Butch Jones, and some of his comments, he could have been talking to the Gamecock defense. When you come into a game with anxiety, when you come into the field thinking about things, and you standing around watching, he was talking to the Gamecock. He was talking to the Gamecock defense. People, that's why I understand your saying that the talent level is low, but there's something else going on here, and that's when teams start to go into the dentist's office instead of taking the field, and that's what they look like they're doing, especially when they take the field defensively. If it was all talent, Vanderbilt never would have won all those games the last 3 years under Franklin. So it's more than talent. And I think he was talking to the Gamecock defense, because Tennessee, this game is dangerous because Tennessee, they're young players, they're playing with house money, and he's telling them, look, play the way we teach you and something good will happen. South Carolina takes the field. Let's see where the other shoe's going to drop.
This should be a game where the Gamecock defense stands out or stands up. Tennessee they're struggling on offense. Their quarterback situation is in flux. They average just 104 rushing yards a game. All right. Now, if Tennessee rushes for 150 yards or more against the Gamecock defense, then they really should be ashamed. Now, they have thrown it decently, 227 yards per game, but they only average 332 yards per game. So this isn't one of the high-powered offenses that South Carolina has faced through the season. This is by no means an offense like Auburn or an offense like Georgia or Texas A&M or East Carolina, for that matter. Now, I'm not saying they can let their foot off the gas. What I'm saying is here's a good matchup for South Carolina's defense. Okay, you've been struggling all year. Here's a chance for you to face that team with the big orange T on the side of the helmet that has owned you for most of your life. Now, South Carolina's had the edge in recent years, and they're going for their 4th straight win at home against the Vols, and their 3rd win in 4 years against Tennessee, which a big swing for South Carolina in this series. Here's a chance for this defense to match up with a average or below average offense and see if they can shut them down.
And of course, in retrospect, this is the team that cost you a berth.
Marquez North
in the SEC championship game.
Here's a question. I can't figure this one out. Who has the worst defense in the SEC statistically?
I thought I was looking at it every week.
Who has the worst defense statistically in the SEC? You know who's last in yards allowed per game?
Who is it?
Mississippi State.
Oh, yeah, it is right, isn't it? But they're winning. Just win, baby.
Okay, we're back. Mississippi State's actually 13th in the SEC in total defense. Doggone it. I misread that. They are last in
pass defense.
Was it pass defense they were last in? Texas A&M is last in total defense in the SEC. I could have sworn I saw Mississippi State sitting down there in the
But they
14th.
stuff you in the red
Well, hang
zone,
on a second.
and they
Now,
hold teams to field
wait a
goals, and
second,
they
wait a
score
second,
touchdowns.
wait a second. Extended team stats. This says total defense, Mississippi State is 14th. This is the extended team stats, 439.6 yards per game. Yeah, I don't know what the difference is. I got to go back and look. So they are last in total defense. I didn't think I was wrong. South Carolina's next to last at 437.5. We're going to get to Chip Weil in just a moment, but they are about to announce the is this it, Pro? Are they running through the rankings?
I think they are. And Clemson was, what, 21 or 22? They threw them up so quickly.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I thought they were going to
Well, they're
kind
going
of
to
play
keep
this
the
thing
last. They're going to play the last.
Yeah.
five.
Let's go ahead and bring Chip up, and we'll break in when they get to the top four teams. Chip Weil, president of Darlington. No doubt he's interested in the college football playoff as well, but he's also interested in the playoff going on in NASCAR, the Chase, which is really exciting. A great weekend at Martinsville, Chip, and very popular win by Dale Jr. So things really get tight in terms of getting a driver who's in the Chase a victory in one of these next two races to get the automatic pass to the championship race.
Yeah, the People's Champ won on Sunday afternoon, and that means that two folks are going to advance to the final, not based on wins, so based on points, which is exciting. I think it adds a different dynamic or another element to the Chase. And I'm still not certain that a non-Chase driver is going to win on Sunday. I think that there's certainly a great opportunity for some of the guys who have been eliminated from the Chase to still get another victory before the end of the season.
All right, hold on one second. Let me update the rankings here. College football playoff rankings just being announced for the first time. Mississippi State is number one, despite having the worst defense statistically in the SEC. Florida State is number two. Auburn's number three. And where's number four, Pro? They're making us hang on for number four. It's either Alabama, Ole Miss, or Oregon, apparently.
It's going to be Bama.
You think it's going to be Alabama?
Yeah, it shouldn't be because Ole Miss beat them head-to-head, but watch, it's going to
Chip,
be
what's your call on that one? Who's the fourth one?
I think Alabama will be. So does that mean that three of the four are SEC West schools?
Yeah, that's right. Well, everybody kind of figured, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is number four. So right now, Mississippi State, Florida State, Ole Miss, Auburn, those are your four teams. And probably Alabama and Oregon. Oregon was number 5, and Alabama was number 6. That's according to the selection committee.
So
where did Georgia end up? Where did my team end up?
Georgia's 11.
Not even close.
So anyway, so how do you see – here we are talking about the college football playoff and the rankings, and this is going to be weekly until they announce the 4 teams on December 7th. So you see how it's capturing the attention of the American sports fan. You think the NASCAR playoff chase has kind of done the same thing among NASCAR fans and maybe some non-true NASCAR fans catching on?
Phil, I think it has. And it's certainly made us relevant for 10 straight weeks. It keeps people interested. Because if you look at last year or the last 9 consecutive years, by this point in the chase, we only have 2 or 3 drivers that are really still in the hunt to win the championship. And now we go to Texas with 8 guys that still have a chance to go to the finals, and that's what makes it exciting. That if your driver is 7th in points, if you're a Kevin Harvick fan right now, you know that he still has an opportunity to go to Homestead and race for the championship, and that makes you want to that compels you to watch the races every Sunday and cheer for your favorite guy.
Mm-hmm. Mr. All-American boy, Jeff Gordon. Do you believe him when he said in the post-game press conference that if he'd gotten close enough to Little Lee, he'd have bumped him out of the way and won the race?
You know what? I do believe that, because then for the next 2 weeks, he can pretty much check out and, try some new things, really go for broke, and not have the pressure of having to win at the next 2 races at Texas and Phoenix. So I do believe he would do it. At this point in the season,
you want to support your teammates, but you also got to make sure you take care of yourself and your team, and that's what Jeff would have done. I think Jeff's hungry. I think he is certainly one of the clear-cut favorites to win the championship. It's just a matter of executing at Texas and Phoenix, getting a victory or staying in that top 3 or 4 in order to move on to Homestead and race for the championship.
You know, I was one of the neat stats about Derek Jeter as he was winding down his career with the Yankees was that until the last few games of this season when they were eliminated, I think the stat was he had only played in like 5 games as a Yankee in which the game didn't matter, that they were eliminated from postseason play. Well, I'm going to get to Jimmy Johnson. You know, now here's Jimmy Johnson eliminated from championship competition. I wonder, this might be a good research stat for you. How many races in his career has he been in where he was out of the chase for a championship in his career? I bet you not too many, but he is now.
No, not too many. And I remember going into Homestead when Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards were racing in 2011. I think that was the first year in 6 or 7 years that he hadn't been part of the conversation, that he was mathematically eliminated. You know, that 48 team, they truly are a dynasty in our sport. Chad Canales and Jimmy Johnson and that Lowe's team have just been fantastic. But you know what? If they would have still been part of the conversation, it makes everybody in the industry a little nervous, because if you have a 7-time champion, I wonder if the fans would react like, oh, you know what, Jimmy's going to win again. We don't need to turn it on. The exciting part about what we have going on now is there's a variety of folks who still have a great opportunity to win. You look at Brad Keselowski. He won 2 years ago. You look at Kevin Harvick. He's won a truck championship. He's won a nationwide championship. He's been in the conversation about a cup championship for years, but has never won one. Carl Edwards, flown under the radar all year. Basically won a championship 2 years ago, but unfortunately, because Tony Stewart led the most laps, he didn't get to sit up at the head table in Vegas. So there are a lot of really exciting storylines and folks that are still part of the conversation that would be great champions. And I think it's kind of a changing of the guard, so to speak, for our sport, that we are going to have a new, fresh champion, somebody who hasn't been a part of the conversation for the last 4 or 5 years outside of Brad Keselowski. And man, I tell you, I'm excited. I'm going to Homestead, and I'm looking forward to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, it should be quite exciting, that last race. What's cooking over at your place? Are things starting to roll? I know we're a little over a year away before you race again. That seems like forever, but that's the way it is with the new schedule.
Well, so you said, what's cooking? We're having our big barbecue festival next Friday and Saturday, November 7th and 8th, in the Spring Cup Series garage. We're gonna have live bands. We're gonna have kids games, barbecue, wing competition, car show. There's gonna be a 2-day car show on Friday night and Saturday. For more information, go to darlingtonraceway.com. It'll give you the schedule of events. And if you want to get entered in the barbecue, we still got a couple spaces left. Not many. We have to limit the number of barbecue teams because of the area that we use. We use the actual garage area that the Cup cars work out of. So I think there's a couple of spaces left. But it's a really fun event. It's actually one of my favorite events of the year because we get to enjoy the people, and I love barbecue, so it's going to be a fun weekend.
All right, so to get more information, just go to the Darlington website.
Yep, darlingtonraceway.com will give you all the information if you want to sign up or figure out what the schedule looks like so you can come bring your family. It's a free event, which is always fantastic. Free event. If you want to try the barbecue, it's $5 per person per day. So if you want to try the wings on Friday night, $5. You want to try the barbecue on Saturday, $5. But where else can you go and feed a family of 4 for $20, all you can eat?
Nowhere. Except Darlington.
That's right. So next weekend, you can do it at Darlington Raceway. So,
all right.
Yeah, really excited.
Thank you, Chip. Have yourself a great week. We'll talk to you next week when they come back from Texas. Chip Wild, president of Darlington, with us here on Sports Talk.
And Clemson was, yes, number 21 in the first ranking.
All right. What do you think of the 4 as they stand now? Hey, SEC dominates. What can you say? All right, once again, Mississippi State, Florida State, Auburn, and Ole Miss. They are slotted 1 through 4 in the first college football playoff committee rankings. Oregon is number 5, and Alabama is number 6. These aren't final. These are the ones that are just here at this stage of the season. And, of course, Alabama's going to play Auburn. You're going to have a lot of really good, interesting matchups over the next several weeks. It's going to shake the standings up there quite a bit. Florida State coach Jimbo Fisher said today that senior running back Carlos Williams will play against Louisville Thursday night. He would make no other comment regarding Williams, referring to the school statement Monday that his status was under review. In that statement, Florida State announced it would wait for more information on the incident that led to Tallahassee police to announce Monday it was investigating an alleged domestic battery that involved Williams. An attorney for the victim in the incident told the Tallahassee Democrat today that she had not filed a complaint with police and had not asked for such an investigation and was requesting that Tallahassee police drop the case. All right, now at Clemson, of course, there's no game this week, but the Tigers are practicing. And, of course, today some of the players had a chance to talk with the media about what they're thinking about here with 4 games to go. Going into November, the Tigers sitting on a record of 6-2, a chance to have another outstanding double-digit victory season if they can win out. Grady Jarrett, of course, very good spokesman for the Tiger defense, said that he hopes that he and his teammates can make November one to remember.
In November, we should be playing our best football as a whole entire team, and that's the expectation. And I feel like we're hitting a really good stride. And then we got a bye week this week, which came at a perfect time for us, and get guys healthy. So I think this is going to be a really good finish for us.
Does it motivate you guys that you're third in the country in defense and the chances there to keep creeping closer to goal?
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a goal of ours. But really, the motivation is just trying to improve as a whole entire unit on defense, and just trying to improve as a team and special team. So we try to get better in all facets of the game. So we know November. That's what we like to call championship time. To position ourselves for a little postseason play. But we just expect to be playing our best football as a whole entire team at this point of the season.
2 years ago, when all you seniors were sophomores, struggling at times, did you look ahead and think it could be this good down the road?
Yeah, definitely. We had the pieces, but guys were young and inexperienced as a whole, and it was a lot of guys first time starting. That was my first year starting, and just the experience over the years and all the big games we played in, it's just made us better players and a better unit, and it's just been progress since Coach V first got here, and then I just don't see it dropping off, and we know what we're doing now, so the results are starting to show.
Do you foresee a big drop-off next year, or do you think the seniors are doing a good job of teaching these younger guys, DJ and Carlos, that'll have to take over your spots next year?
We really haven't even put in thought of that, man. We still got 5 games left in this year, and we're trying to make the most out of that, and I'm definitely, trying to make the most out of my opportunity, and we just focusing week in and week out on the next game and with the next task. So that's kind of what I focus on right now. And, everything else will take care of itself.
People talk about the opportunity for physical rest in the bye week, but mentally, you guys have had, 6 straight weeks for preparing for opponents. That mental break, do you feel that?
Oh yeah, definitely. The mental break is just as big as a physical break. When you prepare as hard and as detailed as we do, the mental break is needed, and I think it's going to be good for a lot of guys, including myself. And it's like I said, it's just come at the perfect time, and we couldn't ask for a better situation right now.
All right, Grady Jarrett. And the Tigers, they've got some great numbers to back up what he's saying. I mean, ranked nationally very highly in most of your defensive categories, giving up just 18 points a game, only 101 rushing yards per game, and in total defense, only 268 yards per game. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, here is the complete college football playoff top 25 rankings as announced tonight. Number 1, Mississippi State, followed by Florida State, Auburn, and Ole Miss. There's your golden 4 right there. There's your that's where your line is. Next is Oregon, Alabama, TCU, Michigan State, Kansas State, Notre Dame. Then Georgia, 11, followed by Arizona, Baylor, Arizona State, and Nebraska. Then it's Ohio State, Utah, Oklahoma, LSU, and West Virginia. Then it's Clemson, UCLA, East Carolina, Duke, and Louisville at number 25. So, you know, how they sat in there and determined that TCU with 1 loss is better than Michigan State with 1 loss, or Kansas State with 1 loss, or Notre Dame with 1 loss, or Georgia with 1 loss, or Ole Miss with 1 loss was better than Oregon with 1 loss. Now, they had an argument against Alabama because that was head-to-head. So, you know, highly, highly subjective, much more subjective than what it's been during the BCS era.
Now, the interesting thing about this, obviously, with all these SEC West teams, things are going to shake out. If you remember the old video game Pac-Man, in this case, the eater would be Alabama, because Alabama visits Mississippi State on November 15th. And, of course, the Iron Bowl is in Tuscaloosa on the 29th of November. On that same day is the Egg Bowl. Mississippi State also has a game, and they have to go to Ole Miss. So those things are going to shake out. The team that could lose in all of this, maybe it's Florida State, because they have to run the table because they have no top 25 teams left on their schedule. So they could get leaped over some kind of way. It'll be interesting to see how this happens.
Well, I mean, probably their last stiff test is going to be Thursday night at Louisville.
Right.
And, I mean, Florida is – I know that's a rivalry game, and crazy things can happen in rivalry games, but we see no signs right now that Florida is going to be able to knock off Florida State this time around. Of course, then again, you don't know who Florida State's going to have on the field or in jail by the time the end of the season rolls around. But in typical Florida State fashion, when it comes to a player being in trouble with the law, we'll decide on this a little bit later. You know, we're not ready to investigate this too much right now. We're not ready to pursue it. We're not ready to push anything forward on this right now until we get more information, which will probably come to light sometime in February.
And Georgia has an outside shot only because they host Auburn, and if things go well and they run the table to be in the SEC championship game, and a win there may give them an outside shot to be in the top 4. I don't see it, but they do have a shot.
5 SEC teams in the top 11, including one from the East. They are represented by Georgia from the East, so tells you how tough the SEC is. All right, that'll do it. Thank you, State Man. Thank you, Pro. I'll be in Charlotte with you tomorrow night from ACC Basketball Media Day. Until then, have yourselves a great night. We'll see you tomorrow night here on Sports Talk.